Hello, Elementary, Montessori Academy at Belmont Green. And that's where I am today. So, Mr. T, thought I'd do a geography lesson for you guys today. And it's going to go back to some of the concepts that we discussed when we started the year in our introduction to our cultural curriculum. And you might recall that geography, means the study of maps. Geo is the world, and graphy means drawings. So geography is the study of drawings of the world. Well, in order to understand geography, you got to be able to read a map. And so, what I want to do today is go back and review some of the concepts we introduced to you on how to understand maps. It's one thing. And then the other thing is to do some Where is Mr. T? Many of you remember and know that I love traveling, and I've been to 69 countries around the world. Well, sadly, right now, because of this virus thing, people can't really travel much, particularly to foreign countries. And so internationally, things are pretty much ground to a halt. But you know what you can do? You can go online with your mom and dad's help, and you can travel virtually to some really interesting places in the world and see wonderful pictures. And then you can start to think about the places you want to go, and you will go when travel is open again. But what I wanted to do today is to remind you how to find where you are on the map, or how to find places on the map that you might want to go to. And to do that, you need some basic concepts of geography. And I'm hoping every one of you guys has a world map, like Mr. T's map here. You should have one on your wall in your room or some place where you can get to it really easily to consult it whenever you want to know the answers to some questions in geography. Or you could have a great atlas. Mr. T's got some great books of maps of the world. So whatever you got, would you go and get it and get a map of the world? Because we're going to do some Where is Mr. T exploring today work. So you can freeze the video and go get your map. And when you come back, here's where we'll be. The concepts you need to know is that in order to read maps, and I have my globe here, and a globe is a map. It's a realistic map because the Earth is a sphere, and it's interesting to see how the continents of the Earth and the oceans and all appear and are on our Earth as it is, as a sphere. And there are on the sphere, geographers have agreed to, back in the 19th century, to draw lines to mark. They're called the international lines of demarcation, so that you can tell where you are anywhere on your Earth by looking at these lines. Well, you can do it on a globe, but that's a little more tricky. And if you were here in the classroom with me, I'd show you how to do it on the globe. But what geographers have done is they've taken that globe, and you can see behind me here, and they've flattened it out and made it a flat map. Now that distorts things a lot because, you know, if you take a ball and flatten it out into a frisbee, you'll see that the spaces move. And so it's not a realistic representation of where the continents are, the countries and the cities, but it's a lot easier to work with when you look for latitude and longitude, because I'll explain to you right now these maps, these lines of international demarcation, just tell you what they were. So the first lines you need to know about are the lines that go horizontally across the map, horizontally across the board, all right? And they run from east to west. Remember our cardinal directions, that's the east, this is the west, that's the north, and this is the south. So the latitudes run across the map. Latitude. Let me spell that for you. Latitude. And the latitudes, like ladder, climbing the ladder, and there's latitudes all across the map. On my map here, if I look over on the side here, this is the numbering system for the latitudes. It's on both sides. It's also over here. And you'll see some numbers that tell you the number of the latitude. I'll go into that in a minute. Oh, look at my eraser. The geographers also, it's very helpful to know the latitude, where you are up and down on the map of the Earth, but you also need to know where you are going across the Earth, don't you? So what the geographers drew on the maps are these lines that go from north-south, north-south. And those lines are called longitudes. Longitude. Longitude. Latitudes, up and down. Longitudes, right and left. Latitudes, north and south. Longitudes, east and west. Those are some concepts we'll be talking about now so you can find where Mr. T is on the map. Last thing I want to tell you, and this is important, is that you guys know from geography, and you third years know this, not sure about you other guys, but I'll explain it right now. A sphere or a circle, and a circle is a plane of a sphere, is measured in degrees. They're 360 degrees all the way around a circle. 360 degrees. So conveniently, what the scientists did when they identified and drew the lines for the latitudes up and down on the globe and the longitudes east and west on the globe, they numbered them depending upon what degree they are. So right in the middle here, halfway across the globe, all right, is one of the really important latitudes. And that latitude divides the sphere into two hemispheres. And that latitude right there is called it has a special name. It's called the equator. The equator. Equator. T forgot to write in cursive. Equator. And it happens that the equator has a number that makes it easy to figure things out with these latitudes. The equator is 0 degrees. That's how you say it. We're called degrees, that little circle, 0 degrees. So the equator is this middle line that divides the Earth into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. The 0 latitude is the equator. Well, we have a very, very important longitude as well. And the longitude right here, this line that goes down right here and it cuts right through London, okay? And all the way down from the South Pole, all the way up to the North Pole. That longitude is called the prime meridian. Prime means main, meridian. The prime meridian. And the prime meridian, again, also is a 0 longitude. 0 longitude. So, the latitudes and the longitudes cross. The latitudes run this way, across the map, east to west. The longitudes run up and down, and where they cross, you can find, that helps you figure out where you are on the map. And where they cross, that's called the coordinates, the geographical coordinates of that place on the map and on the Earth. So, let me take you to a few places specifically where Mr. T has been and see if you can find them on your map. So, go to your map, look at the degrees of longitude up here, look at the degrees of latitude on either side, and I'll give you coordinates. And then you find where Mr. T is, or where Mr. T has been and would like to be. So, let's start with one of the most interesting places in the whole world that I've been. And I'm going to give you the way you record coordinates. And you must record them this way. It's the latitude first, and then the longitude second. The pilots who are flying those big airplanes that you see passing over Leesburg, headed for Europe, or anywhere in the world, they all use these coordinates to figure out where they're going, where they are, where they want to be. And so there's an international language of geography where navigators and people who are trying to understand where they're going on the map use. And so the first thing they say is they say the latitude. So the city I'm going to give you is latitude is north. You have to give me a north. North 30 degrees and east 30 degrees. So go to your map, find latitude 30 degrees north. If the equator is 0, then we're going to go north, we're going to go up. All right? So if the equator is 0 and the equator is right here, this is the equator, okay? Here's the equator, right through the center of the earth. We're going to go up, and my map, each one of the squares, latitude and longitude, is 15 degrees. So we're going to go up 15 degrees, so that's 15 degrees north. And we're going to go up 30 degrees north. So that's the latitude we want, 30 degrees north. And I can see over here, it's 30 degrees north, and it's 30 degrees north here, all right? So I'm on the right latitude. Latitude goes across horizontally. So now I need to find the longitude. And I said the longitude is east 30 degrees. East 30 degrees. Well, here's the prime meridian right here. Here's 0. Here's 30. Here's 0. This is 0. So this is latitude north 30 and 0 degrees longitude. This is 15 degrees east. I'm going east from the prime meridian. And this is 30 degrees east of the prime meridian. So I'm at 30 degrees north latitude, north of the equator, and I'm at 30 degrees east longitude, 30 degrees east of the prime meridian. I'm in Cairo, Egypt. You ought to go there. Fascinating city. Let's do it a different way. So, Mr. T has been there. After studying South America with Mrs. Kiefer, I know you're going to want to go there. You're going to want to go to the country of Peru. And Peru, the city that you're going to start out in, is the capital city. It's Lima, Peru. So, go to your map. I've already told you what hemisphere it's in and what continent it's on. You find the capital of Peru, Lima, and you tell me, you write down what the latitude is and the longitude, the coordinates for Lima, Peru. Do that. Freeze your map, freeze your video, come back to me when you got it figured out. I'm going to continue myself. I told you it's in the southern hemisphere, and here's the country of Peru. The Andes Mountains form the spine of Peru. Mr. T was there. Fantastic. I was up at 14,500 feet in the Andes to the capital of the Inca at Machu Picchu. You need to go there. But the capital city, Lima, okay? Lima is, first we have to find the latitude. We come over here. Here's Lima right here. Lima, Peru. And this line, this latitude line right under it is 15 degrees. All right? But it's 15 degrees south. This is the equator right here. 0. 15 degrees south. So Lima is pretty close. We're going to approximate. It's pretty close to the 15 degrees south latitude. So now we need to find the longitude. Well, we can start at the prime meridian, which is over here in London, 0, And we're coming this way. Here's 15, 30, 45, 60, and 75. So we're at longitude 75 and we're west of the prime meridian. We're west of the prime meridian. So Lima, the coordinates for Lima, Peru are south latitude 15 degrees and west longitude at 75 degrees. If you got that, you're a good navigator, and we can put you on a jet plane right now and you can fly us to Lima, Peru. Cool. I'm going to give you one more place to find on the map where Mr. T's been, and you can use your maps to find any place you want whenever you hear about it. So if somebody says, you know, I've been to Frankfurt, Germany, you can go to your map and find exactly where Frankfurt, Germany is using your latitude or longitude, your coordinates. So this is a trick one. Washington, D.C. What do you think about that? That's the capital of the United States of America. And we live only 35 miles from here, there. But if you were in Europe or you were in South America and you were in your jet plane and you wanted to come to Washington, D.C., where would you go? What direction would you fly in? You'd have to look up the coordinates for Washington, D.C., and then use your compass to find where you need to go, the direction to get to that place. So, you guys go to your map, find Washington, D.C., our big city hometown, and write down the coordinates. Freeze your video. Mr. T is going to continue. The Western Hemisphere, the Northern Hemisphere. Remember, this is the equator at 0. Okay, and this is Washington, D.C. right here. Washington, D.C. It's a city. Remember, it's not a state, and so it's right east of Virginia, right here, Washington, D.C. So, it's first thing we need to do is we need to find the latitude, all right? So the nearest latitude is right here, below it, and that latitude is north 30 degrees. But you know what? We're going to estimate, because this is 15 degrees, if you can see it, between the two lines of demarcation here, right? The two latitudes is 15 degrees. And Washington is just about in the middle between them. So it's above 30, but it's less than 45. So I'm going to say it's 8 degrees above the 30, and I'm going to call it 38 degrees north latitude. So it's north of the equator, 38 degrees. And this is the equator, and this is 30, and I'm going to give that 8 degrees as an estimate. Now we need to find the longitude. Well, again, we go over here to the 0 prime meridian, going through England, London, and we're going to come this way. And there's a longitude that passes very close to Washington, D.C., almost right through it. And I can follow that longitude up to the top of my map, and I can see that it is west of the prime meridian. So it's west longitude, and it's 75 degrees. Washington, D.C. So, you've traveled around the world a bit with Mr. T. You now have the concepts of the coordinates that you use to find places on maps that you'd like to go to. Mr. T will come back to you again for another lesson sometime, and we'll always call these, Where is Mr. T? And you and me can travel around the world using our coordinates and finding the places we want to go on our world maps. So this is Mr. T. Take care.